What style of home would you like to live in the most? What's your biggest regret in life until now? Are all those houses or furnitures this big, or this is just that you were petite? Is there a team in the background? How do you afford these expensive travels? Hi guys, it's time for a Q&A. So around 2 years ago, I uploaded a home tour of a small hotel in the middle of nowhere in Morocco, and absolutely nobody watched it.
We are in Morocco, in Ait Ben Adou.
And what is so crazy is that today Interior Insights has over 50,000 subscribers. And to celebrate, I'm answering all of your questions, including a few that I honestly wasn't expecting. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to join us on the journey to 100K. Now let's dive into it. Okay, first up, hi Jane, I have a question for you. What style of home would you like to live in the most? Thanks, Rose. Good question. To be honest, that's actually quite difficult for me to answer because I just really have a passion for interior design and there's just so many different styles that I love. But I think if I were to like furnish my forever home or a home like for the next 5 to 10 years, I would definitely want it to be very eclectic. I love color. You probably already know that by now. And I would definitely want to incorporate a lot of color into it. I really love green in interior design, but I also really love yellow and orange. And currently I'm also really loving mid-century design, mid-century furniture, also because it just ages really well. It would definitely have to be very colorful and bright and like a very happy space once you enter the home. Okay, next question. How do you find and get access to these sometimes very exclusive places? Same question as above. How do you find all of these great homes to tour? Do you only go on the weekends to film, or is this full time now? So when I had this idea to start this channel and do home tours, the number one doubt people would tell me is that they would tell me that like it's absolutely impossible to find good homes to film, and like who would let strangers into their home and have them film it and then post it on YouTube for the world to see. But actually it has been super simple. And so actually right from the beginning, like a few people out of 10 that I would message would always say yes. There were also a lot of people who would always ask for money. We started Interior Insights while we were still studying and we're students, and we couldn't afford to pay like 2,000 euros to be able to film a home that would of course also benefit them because we're showing their property. So yes, these days we have a lot of different sources where we go to find the homes. One of them is Instagram. Sometimes we find them via Airbnb. We also have a lot of people reach out these days. We actually, at the beginning of the year, we filmed a home tour from our community. I hope I'm allowed to say this, but I guess I am. This really nice couple from Zurich reached out to us and asked if we want to showcase their home, and we did. And it's been one of our most successful homes so far. And it actually is also one of my favorite homes that we filmed because their attention to detail and it's just absolutely incredible. Also, there's a bunch of location scouting sites. We also sometimes like randomly write artists and ask them if they have a nice home or if they know somebody with an incredible home. And also you guys often also send us suggestions like, oh, I know this really cool place in Hamburg, or I know this really nice place if you ever come to Nice. Actually, the country we've been invited to most so far is Mexico, so we will definitely see if we can go to Mexico this year because there's just so many incredible homes that people have been sending us, or like sending us their own personal homes that we should film. And just so you know guys, we never get money for filming these homes. Like we always do it for free because at the beginning we were thinking if at some point we should like charge the people so that we are like showing their homes, or like if it's an Airbnb that we're showing their Airbnb, but we just felt like it didn't really feel fair to charge private homeowners. And so instead we're trying to find different ways to monetize this YouTube channel so that it can still be sustainable, so that we can continue to bring you guys these incredible homes. And that's also of course why it's so important that you should subscribe, so that we can continue to grow and continue to bring you these incredible homes for free, and so that the videos can stay free and can also stay free for the homeowners. This is why I have my interior design consultation, or also of course my other interior design products. Do you only go on the weekends to film, or is this full time now? I would say this is definitely full time, but of course it isn't just YouTube because as you've probably seen, we don't do that many sponsorships, but I also offer interior design consultations on the side. So if you're interested, you can book a one-on-one interior design call with me, or of course I also do full-on interior design project. So if that's something you're interested in, there's more info in the description. And how we film is that usually we batch everything like into small trips. So for example, we'll go for a week to Copenhagen and film a bunch of videos, and this way we don't have to like travel every single week here and there to film. What's your biggest regret in life until now? That's very difficult to answer. I don't know if there's anything I regret. I mean, if there was one regret, but I don't know if you can call this a regret because I feel like where you are now in life obviously is like an accumulation of every decision you've made. previously. I would say I could imagine that I regret not starting YouTube sooner, because I had this idea for a bunch of years, and I was living like in Vienna, I was living in Bali, and I even filmed some home tours there. And then I was living in Madrid, but I never actually filmed anything, and I never edited the videos that I started to film because I just wasn't sure if it was going to be successful or not, or if it like made sense to put all of the energy into it. And so when I finally did start to like edit all of the videos, the channel took off quite quickly, and I felt like I would have had so many incredible homes to film during those 2 to 3 years while I was studying abroad and living in different countries. And starting sooner than later anyway is a good advice in life with most things. So I think that would be one regret. A second regret that I can spontaneously think of is not learning enough Spanish while I was living in Madrid. I can speak a bit of Spanish, but I would love to be completely fluent by the end of this year or something. So that's a goal I have. I don't know if it's a regret or not. Is this Q&A going to be available for everybody on YouTube, and when is it? I'm just wondering because I didn't catch the last one from some months back. There's nothing you missed. This is the first one on YouTube, but I do a bunch of like smaller Q&As and more like daily smaller interior design tips and tricks on Instagram. So if you're interested, you should definitely go and follow me there, because there I do a bunch of more like smaller Q&As or interior design tips, or like answer your interior design struggles and everything. Okay, here's a big list of questions. Hello, is there any country you haven't been to yet that you'd love to travel to see the architecture? Architecture-wise, where would I want to go? Well, I would say that on my bucket list up until now, the number one country that I wanted to visit was definitely Japan, but I just have actually been in Japan, and the architecture there is absolutely incredible. And like, it was like the first time I really had a culture shock visiting a different country, because everything there is just so different and there's so many unspoken rules. I also posted a lot of Japan content on Instagram. And other than that, I would really, really love to go to Mexico. I've already been to Mexico once in 2020 or something, but only mostly to Mexico City, and I'd love to go back to Mexico City and also travel around the entire country and film some of the architecture. I think revisiting Mexico, and especially Mexico City now, would just be absolutely incredible. And when I was 16, I once visited New York for 2 weeks or something. My mom surprised me for my birthday, and so we went to New York for 2 weeks. That was really cool. That was like the coolest present I've ever gotten, and that was really cool. And of course, I'd really love to revisit New York and also go to LA to see the architecture there. But I feel like a lot of YouTube channels already really cover the US very well with all of the architecture and like the design that you have there. So I don't know, I would personally love to go. If you guys would love to see some US home tours from Interior Insights, comment it down below and I'll see if we can make it happen. Next question off the list. How did you get into this area? I think I always was a person who really loved design, and both my parents were self-employed and always had like a bunch of other friends who were also entrepreneurs. And so I think I just grew up knowing I also definitely wanted to do something on my own, and YouTube kind of just happened out of this idea. When I was younger, my family and I moved abroad for a bunch of years, and my family had like a small hotel, and there was always like a lot of construction going on, or I had to like help carry tiles here and there as a child, and I really loved it. And I think I was just really always exposed to a lot of construction, or like my family or my dad would take me on like, on like stone yards to pick out marble or to pick out different sinks. And so I think I was just like really always exposed to a lot of different cultures, and also to like the entire interior design process. But when I finished school, I just really wanted to leave Germany, wanted to leave the country. And so I started to study interior design, but abroad, so that I had like the flexibility to move around and to visit a lot of different places. And then my passion just continued to grow and continue to deepen. So yes, that's how I kind of got into this area. What's the best piece of advice that you've been given around architecture and interior design? Oh, definitely 100% this, and that is that successful interior design doesn't happen within a day. But for a design to actually like become successful or become this like layered, incredible piece of magic that when you like see it or walk into the room, it just feels absolutely incredible. And for the space to just work, you actually need to give yourself time and give the space time to actually understand it. And so when you move into a new space, you shouldn't buy everything on the same weekend, but you should really give yourself time, because the right pieces will find you. And of course, the second most important interior design advice I could give you is never ever buy everything from one place or from one type of furniture store, but rather really take time to curate your space from a lot of different sources of inspiration. Is there a style era of houses that you just don't like, or can you find the positives in any property? Yeah, like I just already mentioned with the question before, I think if you buy everything from one single space, I think it is super boring and it will always look like a showroom. And I would say like minimal interior design is something I don't like that much, but of course it depends, because minimal interior design can also be done really well if you manage to create this like layered depth with different types of textures or with like amazing natural materials. But if you just have like a white empty room and a boring white bed, or like, and that's it, and you call it minimal, then to me that is not a successful design. So yes, to me the most successful interior design really is one that just really tells like your own personal story, and one that also has been like accumulated and created over time. Okay, next question. Hello Jane, I truly enjoy your channel and your personal fashion sense. Thank you. Most people do not like my fashion. Do you plan on creating a book of your design series, possibly detailing a personal breakdown of you trying to be successful design in a good ergonomic sense? That would be a really cool idea. I would absolutely love to create an interior design table book or something with all of the like home tours we've featured, or also like with an interior design guide. If this is something you're interested in, definitely let me know in the comments. To be honest, I think with 50,000 subscribers, I would say we're still a bit too small to have like to create this book, because with these things or with like physical products, you always need to order like a minimum of a few thousand pieces. But I think maybe this could actually be the 100K special, that we create like a table book. I would absolutely love that. I live in an industrial loft which receives a lot of compliments of years, yet after watching a few of the places you've shown, I've come to appreciate that time and patience lead to successful design, and that it's going on, and that it's ongoing. Yes, this is exactly what I've been saying. Thank you, and much joy and success to you and your family. Thank you so much. Success to your industrial loft. It sounds amazing. Hey Jane, congrats. Here are my questions. Number 1, how do you choose or find the houses? I already explained this in some detail. How we choose the houses actually depends on if we feel like it actually tells a personal story, and I think that's it. Like we don't really pay attention to, like we don't really try to find certain interior design styles, but we rather think like, is this a really personal design where you can really like tell the story? And that is like our criteria for if we want to film it. Question number 2, are all those houses or furnitures this big, or this is just that you are petite? Just kidding here, thanks. I actually am quite small, so yes, the houses might seem a bit larger than they are, but I actually think it's better that way for the videos than if it were the opposite and the houses would always feel much too cramped. Okay, next question. As for the questions, well, tell us about your sneeze style. What is the sound and energy of your sneezes? When can we see you sneezing in the blooper videos? Or what is your favorite nail polish color for your toes? Or what foot type are your feet? Thanks for answering up front. See, I told you the questions are very diverse. Can you do a home tours in Bali that's not a villa to show how natives there actually live? I would absolutely love to do that, but unfortunately we are not on Bali anymore, and we try to really give you like an array of different homes on the island. There actually will be like a Javanese wooden juggalo house coming out that I think reflects a more traditional way of living in Bali, or like especially in Indonesia. But yes, if we ever happen to go there again, I will definitely make sure to do so. Okay, next question. How many people work for this channel? Is there a team in the background? How do you find the locations? How do you afford these expensive travels? Is this only a side business? I love your channel and the way you're presenting the homes, and yes, you're very attractive. That must be said. Felix from Zurich, Switzerland. Okay, let's go question by question. How many people work for this channel? Well, I would say I work full-time for it. My partner works half-time to full-time for it, but really when you're self-employed you work all the time, to be honest. And we have 1 to 2 video editors that help us like pre-edit the videos, but then I'm always the one who finishes the edits and makes sure that they're really well. I would definitely love to get some more help, because there are just so many ideas and so many projects that I want to do, but I just cannot keep up with it because there are just so many hours in the day, and I also need my off time. So yes, but I do hope we can continue to grow, and at some point also have like a full-time editor who just takes on all of the editing. Is there a team in the background? That's the team. How do you find these locations? I've already mentioned that. How do you afford these expensive travels? I do have to say that, like I already mentioned, most of the travels that we do are actually places where we used to live. For example, all of the homes that we filmed in Hamburg, we filmed while we were actually living there. And then we went like for maybe 3 to 4 days to Paris and filmed and like batch filmed 2 home tours every single week, and then went home. This is kind of how it works. And also I'm very lucky. I have family literally all over the world, and so also very often if I go somewhere, I randomly have a family member there where we can stay. I do not know how this happened, that they just live everywhere, but they do. So yes, that also really helps save the costs. Is this only a side business? I already mentioned I do this full time. When are you coming to London? I would absolutely love to come to London. Actually, that's another place I would love to visit to see the architecture, because I was also there for just a few days when I was really young and I cannot remember a lot. I'd love to visit London, and I'd love to visit Ireland as well. And I'd really love to visit Scotland. Now it finally came to my mind, because I think they have like incredible like dark countryside interior design. I'd love to do a Scotland tour and just like show you guys everything. Then one question that I need to translate with Google. It's written in Bosnian. Hey Jane, do you perhaps have your friends who are together with you in finding new locations and different apartments in different countries? Either way, you won me over with your choice and phenomenal locations, your presentation, and the energy you pass on to us. Sending you a big greeting. Usually I do not have friends who are joining me, unfortunately, but I always have Ernst, my partner, who helps me film all of the locations. He's the one who films the home tours, and of course he also plays a big part for interior insights. But usually we don't have a lot of friends joining us. That would be cool though. Next question, I also translated this with Google. Even in an elevator as dark and shine, are you going to a party? The image I posted for the Q&A. No, I was either on the way to get groceries or on the way back from getting groceries. Okay, next question. Are you an artist in any capacity as a hobby? That's a good question. I would not say that I'm an artist, definitely not. I do really like to cook and to bake though. If that counts as art, then yes. But other than that, I'm not a person who like sits down and draws or sketches something. Okay, we're almost at the end. I know it can be hard to prioritize architecture against flexibility, but to me, having architectural features is more important than flexibility and modularity. Do you think that one is more important than the other when establishing decisions for your space? I think this personally completely comes down to your own personal way of living. For example, if you have a very tight space, then of course having this like modularity of the space that allows for different functions within a space, that is very important. But if you have like a much bigger apartment or even a house where you don't need that like flexibility or that like double functions of a single space, you don't need that at all. So I think I wouldn't say one is more important than the other, but I would say depending on your specific like situation in life and like your needs of your lifestyle, those probably almost always tell you very clear if flexibility and modularity or having like fixed interior design pieces is more important or not, if you get me. Okay, last question. This is a long one. Okay, here's a question. What's up with calling horrible gray concrete brutalism and turning it into a stylistic choice? I'm Eastern Europe. This brutalist style is 90% of what we're surrounded with here and usually reminds us of poverty, censorship, and repression. If Westerners like it so much, they can come here and pick it up. Lots of vintage communist concrete for you. Sadly, the trend continues. New buildings are made of concrete too, but even cheaper. And now, next to half a century of propaganda, there are plenty of new buildings that will start falling apart in 10 years because they were built for quick profit. I'm very sorry about all of the brutalist architecture that you don't like in your home country. I absolutely understand. I do think there is a difference in brutalist architecture though, if it's like very mass produced and there is like a more of like an artistic brutalist interior design or like architecture where actually like the single houses are like actually properly designed and thought through. And I think the brutalism that you were talking about is a bit more like this like copy and paste blocks that you just have like the entire city. And I do think that you need to distinguish the two, at least in my opinion. You obviously seem to disagree with me, so please do let me know in the comments what you thought about my like separation of the two terms. What does the tattoo above your knee say? Now, I've been getting this question a lot, but actually I do not have a tattoo above my knee. I have really cool tights by a brand. They're called Saint Sass, and they have super cool tights with like printed slogans or printed words on them, and I have a bunch of them. Sometimes also people get confused that like the tattoo is gone, but it's actually not a tattoo. It's just like a thing printed on top of the tight. Okay, next question. Okay, that's it with all the questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely comment below if you did, give it a like, and subscribe if you haven't yet for the journey to the 100K. Also, of course, there's a bunch of really cool home tours coming up, and I even filmed a few more like special vlog style videos or like behind the scenes videos that will be coming soon, so stay tuned.